Have you ever felt like something about you is minimizing what you can do? This something lessened your confidence and almost made you back down and quit on yourself. Maybe it's a physical ailment, or maybe it's a physical trait, or maybe it's something someone said about you along the way. Today's guest has a pretty unique story about how growing up, she had the same name as a celebrity and it actually held her back and kept her feeling stuck. Today, we dive into that and see how she went from unconfident because of this unique factor to allowing it to help her thrive. Lucy Liu is a certified life coach helping women in life transitions get unstuck, beat overwhelm, see clarity, and thrive. She is an unshakable optimist, wife, mother, easygoing entrepreneur, women empowerment workshop facilitator, a motivational speaker, and now she makes it her passion to help other women rewrite their life story. She also inspires as the host of her weekly podcast, The Lucy Liu Show. I'm excited for you to hear our conversation, so let's step into the fire. Welcome, Lucy. Thanks so much for popping on the Red Hot Mindset today.
Thank you so much for having me, Gabe.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm super excited to talk about what we're going to talk about today. I think it's going to help a lot of the listeners get unstuck and to see how they can take where they're at and learn to thrive. So, before we get into it, I'd love for you to just share a little bit about who you are and a little bit about your family.
Absolutely. So I'm from Los Angeles and I'm a life coach. I have a podcast. I host the Lucy Liu show. It's everywhere. And I facilitate a workshop called the I Am Remarkable, which helps you increase your confidence and shatter your glass ceilings because all our glass ceilings are actually self imposed.
Yeah, isn't that so true? So many of our things come from limiting beliefs. And so learning how to overcome those is one of the most important things. So I love that you're doing that. I want to go back to when you were younger, and this is where we're going to start our podcast today. But you have the same name as a celebrity, and I kind of had to look her up. So tell me a little bit about who she is, how you knew about her. Were you named after her? What's the story?
No, I wasn't actually. I gave myself, I was born in China. So when I moved to the States, when I was in elementary school, I gave myself the name of Lucy Liu. And I just loved the name because it was easy. And one day, I think my family we took a family trip to the Yosemites and I was in our hotel room and I saw this incredible women on TV. I think it was a rerun of a movie and I was just drawn to her beauty and talent and at the end I was like, "Oh my god, her name is Lucy Liu." So I became like in this state of, "Oh my god, I need to uh rush and hustle and become famous before she is famous or else I'll be nobody." And indeed, she was amazing and she's so talented. She's also an artist and she later on became a director and she's in so many classic movies. And I don't know if you've seen Charlie's Angels,
Okay, yeah.
where she was one of the angels and I was just in love with her. But at the same time, it kind of gave me an identity issue because her name was Lucy Liu and I would never be that famous again because you just simply do not ever see another Julia Robert out there. Right?
Right.
Because she is just Julia Robert and you can't beat that. And all my life growing up, I had issues with that. And living in Los Angeles and being so close to Hollywood, actually, in middle school, I did sign up with a casting agency. At the time, I wanted to do commercial acting. But every time I went to a casting call, the casting director would actually like run out of their office and be like, "Oh my God, Lucy Liu's on our list. Lucy Liu's on our list. Let me check her out." Right. And then they come out of the lobby and see little me. And you can just tell the disappointment they have on their face. Like, "Oh, not the Lucy Liu, not the Lucy Liu." So that was kind of like the backstory of how I grew up. Eventually, I did not get any parts because that happened every single time. And I became an entrepreneur because I wanted to be an entrepreneur instead of acting. But I think now that I'm in my late 30s, I'm looking back in my life because people always ask me, how are you so confident? And I think looking back, those times when my confidence was crushed again and again, when I had to pick myself back up, I think that practice really gained my confidence. And my name used to be Lucy Liu. It bothered me, to be honest. It hindered me in a lot of ways because I will never be anybody. So I might as well just wait until my death and just be nobody, right? But when it became my purpose, when it became my driving force, that I can use the story to teach other women that no, anything that's hindering you in your life right now is going to propel you to new levels if you just choose the right mindset. And that mindset is a moment to moment shift.
Absolutely. I love the moment to moment shift because I think whatever hinders us, sometimes it will creep back in or we'll start doubting ourselves in different times. And so that moment to moment shift is so, so important. How do we deal with that when it tries to come back? So you went from letting it affect your confidence to where it's now helping you thrive. Can you pinpoint a time in growing up when that kind of transition started to happen, when it took effect and how it happened?
Um, I can't really think of a time when I was growing up, but you talked about coming back, and that really comes back often. For instance, Lucy Liu is my maiden name. And I notice it comes back, that old story that gets stuck that I'm nobody, I will never be successful. That story kinds of get in the way sometimes. So I actually intentionally kept my maiden name. So Lucy Liu is my maiden name. And I use that drive to motivate myself. And when I'm maybe losing that confidence, and I just can check myself in with myself and be like, hey, confidence is like your story and your relationship with yourself, and that's the most important relationship your whole life. And yes, it comes back, but you have to be very intentional about how you choose to face that and what kind of relationship you want that to become. And again, it came back when I started my coaching business. Like, I took 3 months to think of a name for my coaching business. Can you believe that? All that time wasted for no reason, right? Just because I wasn't living and embodying that confident version of me. And I was like, you know what? Forget it. What are you doing, Lucy? You are confident, right? Embody that version of you right now. And when I did, I chose to change my coaching business name to Lucy Liu Coaching. That's when I started attracting clients. That's when my clients came to me and were like, "Hey, you seem so confident. How did you do it?" Right? So self awareness is so important. Yes, we get stuck. We all get stuck. And when you're stuck, there's only really two ways to get around it. One is you make a decision. Two, you have to make some changes. So it's whether you make a decision or you make changes. Those two are the only choices you have. And once you do one of those, you're going to move forward. And that's what I chose to do. And that's what I teach my clients to do now.
Yeah, I love that. You have the decision to move forward or make the changes. And I think those are appropriate because it first comes with a decision. We have to decide we want to change before we're able to do anything. And that's kind of one of those things where you can't change someone else because they have to decide for themselves that they want it. And I think that's where coaching comes in and is really crucial because once you want that change, a coach can come in and actually help you to make that transformation because they can see a lot of things that you might not be able to see about yourself. I've always had a coach in some form or fashion, and I am a coach. And that's why it's because I know the value of having someone else speaking into your life and helping you make those changes. But it doesn't come until we want it. And I love that. So now let's talk a little bit about, I know you've had a point in your life where you felt stuck, you felt unfulfilled and stressed. So I want to go back to that and see, what was that time like? What was going on in your life that made you feel those things?
Absolutely. So I personally transformed my own life from at one point feeling overstressed, unhappy, and unhealthy to now living my life of true joy, fulfillment, and mindfulness. And when people ask me how I did it, you know, it's about starting from step one. I meditate for 20 to 30 minutes a day. But you know what? When I started, I had trouble meditating for even 3 minutes a day. I was like, 3 minutes? That's impossible. Like, I can't sit here. And there are people out there thinking, like, I have ADHD. I'm just like fidgeting. My mind is all over the place. We all have those days and we all started there. But it's possible. And that's why I love helping other women to make that kind of life changing transformations because you have to make the bold moves in your life to create a more aligned and fulfilled life. If you don't take any bold moves, you don't make changes, you're not going to be where you want to be. And that's why I hope to inspire as many women as possible because when you go through a transitional phase of your life, it takes a lot of courage. But you have to think of that transition like when you go from a caterpillar to a butterfly, right? It's a beautiful process. And for me, in the beginning, that looked like being super stressed out. I had breathing problems. I had trouble breathing. I literally couldn't breathe. I had to take really, really long, deep breath. And even so, I felt like I wasn't taking a full breath and I was struggling. Um, I literally went to the doctors and had my heart checked, my lungs checked. We did a lot of x rays, tests. And it turned out there was nothing wrong with me physically, but yet I felt like I was dying because I couldn't breathe. And so the doctor said it's probably stress. And I've always read in books that stress can cause physical harm to your body, but until you experience it, you wouldn't think like even just something like so normal as stress, where everyone at some level feels, can really build up and be your last defense to change. And I really don't want that for anyone else. Like, I don't want someone else to wait until that moment to really make a change is when you anytime we don't have to wait until the new year's resolution, we don't have to wait until when, fill in the blank, but you can start today. And that process is going to take some time, right? But you got to start from point A and just look at point B. I know we all have dream goals, and I love setting dream strategic goals with my clients where we look at point Z, zebra. But right now, we're just going to look at point A to point B, where you just stay focused. Then you're going to get to point B, and then we go from point B to point C. And that's all you need is baby steps and have fun along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Baby steps is crucial. I always say have joy in the journey, find joy in the journey because the journey is the longest part. When you get there, you actually it's just it's a long part of the journey in the process. But when you actually started feeling that stress and feeling like there was something wrong in your body or something actually physically wrong, what was is there anything that you can pinpoint to that stress? Did you have a busy schedule? Did you have a really crazy career? What was going on?
I think it was a mixture of a lot of things, right? And I think that's how life is. That's just how life is. You get thrown at with a lot of things. Like we see rocks thrown at us. And analogy I always like to use is, do you see these rocks as boulders in your way, or do you see them as the little pebbles that are paving your exact path to success and happiness. Because when we're getting thrown these rocks, and yes, they're going to be thrown at you because they're thrown at everybody.
Mhm.
And I felt like, why is this happening to me? Right? It's yes, it's working schedule at the time. We were working for our family business, my husband and it's good business, but it's busy work. It's a lot of overtime, and yeah, we were not living life on our terms. We were living life in our parents' terms, and it was a lot of scheduling conflict. I remember there were times where we overtimed and we worked until like the morning time, like all day, and then even into the morning time because we had no time management and we did not see our own self, our bodies as a priority, right? It was just hustle, hustle. We were in that hustling mode and you want to get things done. And that's all we ever cared about. We were doing financially well, but yeah, that was like the worst time of our life, how we felt inside. Like, we didn't have any energy. Like, whenever we're not working on the weekends, we would just be like on the couch. There was no energy left. And that's why nowadays my energy is so important because I need to show up the best way for my daughter and for my clients. So your energy is really important.
Yeah, I agree. I think, and I always say this too, that if your cup is empty, you have nothing to give. So we need to be continually filling ourselves, which is why it is important to have me time or just time to do something you enjoy or rest. So that you can refuel and you can go out and serve and give, and so I think that is great. I love that point that you made. So in this stressful time, what was the first shift that you made? Did you make it right away? Were you all of a sudden going, I got to make a change and I got to make it now? Or did it take some time for you to decide to change?
For me, on to be honest, I didn't even know coaching existed. So I didn't have a mentor in my personal life, but I did start reading books and I watched some YouTube videos, and that's how I slowly started. And I guess I became really good at it, and people start, friends and family. At the time, I moved to Taiwan, which is a foreign country for me that I've never been to, and I had no family or friends there and no support. And people were asking me, like, how can you do it? You have no support, and yet you transform yourself. You became very positive and you're staying motivated, staying positive. How do you do it? Right. But for me, that took a long time. And I'm like, wow, like, when I started my business, I worked with a business coach because I knew about the power of coaching now. And I want that for my clients. I don't want them to go through a decade of personal development for me. Yes, personal development is a lifelong learning process. Even if you hire a coach, it doesn't just stop there. You're going to be learning about yourself the rest of your life. However, that foundation, where you set you up for happiness and success, that process can be expedited so much faster if you work with a coach. And that's why I love doing what I do.
Right. Yeah. And in a decade of experience, I honestly think that life experiences are sometimes better than physical schooling because you learn so much by applying and doing. Because if you're not applying what you're learning, it's not going to do anything for you. So you kind of went on this journey all by yourself, trying to make your way, trying to get out of that stress and that rut and the feelings of unfulfillment. So what were some of the best tools or best things that you used? Was it reading certain books? When did you start meditating? Like what were some of the key things that you did that you think helped pull you out?
Absolutely. For me, I think meditation is a must. Start somewhere. I started with 3 minutes. Then eventually I went on to 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. And I've gone longer since the pandemic. because it really grounds you, but whatever works for you. Like if you're in an office setting, you can even do like 2 minutes in between breaks. And you can even have a mask, like a eye mask, and just really it's not about the timing, it's about really grounding yourself, you know. And I think practice of gratitude, that is a big one. I really physically journal down my gratitudes daily. I know so many people talk about the importance of journaling, and it really is. It's a the physical touch of pen on paper is really healing. It's a healing process, and your brain is on a vibration that you want to be vibrating on. And you really have to trust that process. Like it's not a day's work. It's a lifelong process, and you need that to keep yourself motivated. And now I'm very motivated, so I don't really watch videos, but when I first began, I would spend at least 20 minutes in the morning watching motivational videos on YouTube. There are so many resources out there. Like, yes, once you really dig deeper into this, you would take paid courses or get a coach to expedite that process. But when you first begin, there are so many resources out there that's available, and you have to try them, what works for you, because what worked for me not might not work for you, but you have to believe it's out there. Everything is readily available to you, and you have to try it and believe that something will work for you. And yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I think the process and just knowing that even this life itself is a process. We never arrive. We never become completely whole or 100% perfect, right? So it's all a journey, it's all learning, it's all growing, but it's a matter of if we're willing to do that. And I just love hearing what makes the difference for other people who have been through that personal development journey that knows what the other side looks like. So now coming out of that overwhelm and feeling stressed, where is your life right now? How do you feel in the moment?
Oh, I love it, because before, what I used to do is I was chasing that mountain peak, right? Like we want to hit the summit. We want to be successful. We want to own things. We want to be somewhere else. But my life changed when I realized life has no peak, and the summit will continuously change as you climb the mountain. So, where I am now is I'm really enjoying the daily exploration, right? If you take a wrong route, that's fun. Right? We are seeing different flowers and different paths along the way. You're learning lessons and you had a fun day. So it's not all about reaching the top. It's really about that exploration journey, that the daily journey, the moment, the now, that really matters. One of my favorite quote is yesterday is history, tomorrow is mystery, today is a gift, which is why we call it the present. And I just love this quote because I think it has everything, all the knowledge inside, that your well of wisdom, you have it all now in the present moment. And if you just live in the moment now, today, if you're enjoying today, you're enjoying your everyday, then you're going to have a beautiful life.
Yeah, yeah, because if we live in the past, we bring our baggage along and we don't see what's to come. We don't see what could be. And if we live too much in the future, then we forget to actually live. And so I love that quote. I think that's so pertinent to a journey and finding joy in the journey and all that good stuff. So, as we wrap up, I want to hear from you. What piece of advice would you give to someone who does have that feeling of unfulfillment or that stress? What kind of advice would you give them to begin the process of personal development? They've never done it before. What would be their first step?
I would say to have faith. You can't have everything that you want in life, but you have to believe there is always a way to get what you want. There's always a way to solve the problems. There is always a way. It's just that the solution might not come right now immediately, but if you face it with a smile, right, you're going to keep an open opportunity and you're going to believe it in every fiber of your being that you will get there, that you will get it, that you will find the solution, and that the opportunity will come. If you have that unshakable optimism and faith, that's the seed of all your opportunities and future success. And I really want you to truly, deeply, madly believe in yourself and in the journey that even if you're in a dark tunnel where there's a bend ahead that you can't even see, there's going to be light at the end of the tunnel. And you just have to trust that process. And when you're in doubt, because you're going to doubt yourself, I doubt myself, right? We all do. It's human
Time.
nature. But when in doubt, you still have to be calm because when it's hard to be calm, when it's the hardest to stay calm, that's actually exactly when you actually need to be calm and trust the process even more.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I think that's a great way to wrap this up and talking about personal development. It's huge. It is so huge for us to always be growing. I've heard it said, you're either growing or you're dying. And it's actually pretty true. So we want to grow. We want to have those beautiful plants, those beautiful flower buds that come because it's what we're producing. And so thank you, Lucy, for sharing with us. I've appreciated hearing your story. I love that you took your name and you ran with it and you became that bold person, bold, confident woman that you are, and that you are using it to help other women thrive. I think that's just really, really special. So, can you share with my listeners where they could connect with you?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I am at lucyliucoaching.com. I'm very active on uh, Instagram at MSLucyliu. That's Miss Lucy Liu. And of course, shattering my own glass ceiling and limiting belief, I started my podcast just calling it The Lucy Liu Show. So it's available anywhere. Come say hi and tune in.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. I hope you have a wonderful and blessed week, Lucy.
Thank you, Gabe.
That was a fun conversation with Lucy. I love talking about personal development. I love talking about the journey because, just like she talked about, it's not about getting to the summit. The summit is what's so exciting, which would be essentially our goal or our dream or whatever it is. And it seems so exciting and we just want to get there, but we forget to enjoy the process. We forget to enjoy the journey along the way. And the journey is us in the moment. So, making sure we're present in the moment and being intentional in everything that we do every day. And that is special. And that is something that will grow us into beautiful, beautiful flowers. And it will get us to that summit. And that summit will be much more sweet if we enjoy the journey. Because if we don't enjoy the journey, we're not going to have much fulfillment in the summit. And if you're working on personal development right now, if you are going after a goal and you can't quite see it, or you are feeling stuck or unfulfilled or just down and out, there is another way. And like Lucy was talking about, coaching is so vital. I know for me and my journey, I was on about a 10-year personal development journey as well to get me from the point of feeling so down and actually being in a deep depression to thriving and being a confident, more whole person. And a lot of it did come from having mentorship and finding coaches along the way who helped me see my gifts and helped pull those out of me so I could use them and I could really find my purpose and my calling and what I was good at so I could do it and help others along the way. So if you are in that position, reach out to me. Let's talk about coaching. I have a lot of great one-on-one options. I have a group option, and I would love, love, love to help you find joy in the journey and to get in that process, get in that momentum, and really understand how to grow personally to hit that goal that you have. This conversation was really special. I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to the next one. I believe in you.